Welcome back, sporting fans, to another spectacular episode of the Paint the Wall podcast. I, as always, am your host, Steve, and I am joined this week by a man that I did not write an intro thing for, but that's okay because we're not going to do it next year anyway, but you all know him as Logan.
What's up?
Welcome back, sir.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
It's been a minute. Some stuff has happened.
Yep. Couple things have happened.
In hindsight, we should have done an episode in between our last one and this one.
Maybe, yeah.
But you know, I wasn't really I don't know why I wasn't expecting roster moves to come out. Probably because we usually make the playoffs and it doesn't happen until after the cup.
Right.
But
yeah.
When you suck and don't make the playoffs, your roster moves come out a lot sooner. So
yeah, valid point.
You know, what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
Well, anyway, welcome back.
Yeah.
Welcome back, and then we'll have another hiatus, but a much
back
longer
one episode.
Yeah. So it is what it is. This will be our season roundup. Then we'll be back in February, right? Is it February or end of January when we'll do our preseason?
Well, I think February because we'll have the CONCACAF.
Yeah,
in February, I think.
Yeah, so we'll have to do preseason probably before that.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. It'll be out when y'all see that it's out. So there's that.
Yeah.
Well, we have a lot to get to in this episode.
Yes, we do.
So let's dive right in and let's cross the boring part off right away.
Yeah. Okay.
Both cups have been played, which is why we waited for this episode. MLS and NWSL. Kansas City didn't make it to either of them.
Nope.
We were at least in the playoffs for the NWSL Cup. However, we got beat by Orlando in the semifinals. Bummer, but I expect to see us back there.
Yeah.
Orlando ended up winning the whole thing. So
right.
Some people feel better about that when you lose to the champion. Some people don't. I don't know. I guess it depends on how far you make it. When you lose to the champion, but you lose in the semifinals, it's like, okay, we probably could have won this whole thing. But
right.
It is what it is. But
yeah.
That's pretty much it for NWSL. We didn't make it, so we didn't win it.
That's about right.
MLS Cup, we didn't make it there either. We also didn't win it.
Yep.
But neither did Miami, and that's what matters.
No, Miami did the most perfect thing possible, which is get first rounded.
Yep.
So, I mean, you and I said it 100 times. Miami should have made a buzzsaw of that tournament, which inevitably meant that they'd get knocked out pretty early. I mean, I had him going a little bit further. You also had him going a little bit further. You had him go a lot further. But first rounded by Atlanta in what is probably one of the greatest MLS playoff upsets, I would have to think.
Yeah, I would say one of for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely got to be up there. So
we did both get the champion right though.
Yeah, both got our Galaxy pick.
Galaxy with their sixth.
Their sixth.
Is that
trophy.
Right? Sixth
their
trophy.
Cup.
Sixth cup. Yeah, it's their eighth trophy, and they've won a Supporter Shield. I just saw this graphic this morning. Supporter Shield 4 times, I think.
That sounds right.
Unfortunate they keep pulling away in the overall, but it is what it is.
Right.
You and I both almost nailed the West.
Yeah.
Spot on. Seattle happened. I should have stuck with my preseason predictions, where I had Seattle in the final, but they managed to eke out LAFC, which I was fine with. Although I would have liked to see a Trafico conference final, but
it would have been fun.
And then neither one of us were even remotely close on the East.
No.
On any of the, I don't think you or I got any game right. Period.
I don't think so.
I'm looking at the graphic. We definitely didn't pick Atlanta. You had.
I had Charlotte.
I was gonna say Columbus. That's not it. You had Charlotte. Because then you had them beating Miami.
Right.
They didn't even get past Orlando.
Nope.
Since he lost to NYC, I actually forgot about that. And Columbus got first rounded by Red Bulls too.
Yep.
So only one of the top 4 seeds made it out of the. Made it out of the first round. Wild.
Yeah, the East was crazy.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I think you and I both thought the East was the least competitive of the two conferences. So
yeah, I think we both said Miami or Columbus. Take your pick.
Right.
And then you had the wild Charlotte upset, which Hell, Orlando Atlanta beat them. Charlotte very likely would have beat them. So.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it was something. I don't know. I mean, we got a New York derby, which was nice in the semis. And yeah, ended up LA Galaxy, New York Red Bulls, and I'm curious if you have any thoughts, but my impression of this game was 28 minutes in, I'm thinking, oh man, we're in for a treat of a game. And then nothing after that.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
Yeah. I didn't watch it live, which meant that I knew the score at the end because I did. And I knew that the scoring stopped in the 23rd. So I watched until just before halftime before I was like, literally nothing's going to happen the rest of this.
Right.
And then I watched it on fast forward. And like I stopped it here and there when I thought there'd be a shot or something and was wrong probably half the time.
Right.
And then I watched the trophy lift. You know how I am. I love trophy lifts. So I watched that. But yeah, I watched the entire game in about 31 minutes, I think.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
So something like that, maybe 35.
I
think I stopped to pee at one point. So wild. It was a very boring second half of the game. But,
it was. Yeah.
But whatever.
Yep.
In a way, I'm kind of happy Galaxy won. I don't know. I go back and forth on whether I love or hate the Galaxy.
Yeah.
You know, they're an OG, so it's hard. I mean, so are we, but it's hard not to like them. Plus, Lane and Donovan, like, duh.
Right.
They were just like the premier team, but it's an LA team, and I don't like when LA wins anything ever.
I have no strong reason to hate LA Galaxy. So I mean, it's definitely not like Seattle or RSL. I mean, RSL is the team I probably hate most in the league because of pretty solid reasons. But I have no reason to really hate the Galaxy, so I'm fine with it. Honestly, this is one of those cups where I couldn't have cared less who won. Mostly, I just wanted a good game, and we didn't even get that. So.
Yeah. It's from one perspective, it's a lose-lose either way because either New York or LA wins a championship, and it's like I don't want either of those. So it wasn't Miami. That was my biggest ask was please don't let Miami win.
Yeah.
Although it didn't matter. Well, I guess this didn't play an effect, but we'll get to the MVP award when we get to a few other awards that we need to talk about later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean that puts a wrap on the season. Kind of a fitting end to the season. LA was the Galaxy was my supporter shield pick at the beginning of the year, and then I doubled down on that on our halfway season pick. Ended up being wrong, but I take a little bit of solace in the fact that they managed to win the whole thing. It's like, yeah, they lost. They didn't win supporters, but they won the one that mattered. So
right, exactly.
You know, so
that's good enough.
Yeah, we'll take it. I do like Ricky Puig a lot. He's a lot of fun to watch. Although he tore his ACL right before the final, didn't get to play in the final. Didn't matter, but he was
tore his ACL in the semis and played 31 more minutes and got the game-winning assist.
Yeah, wild.
Yeah, insane.
Absolutely wild. He was quoted during the championship celebration. I think we're the best team in Major League Soccer. Yeah, well, you're holding a trophy that says that, so I didn't need that part. But I think we need more room to add another star here. He pointed at his jersey. This doesn't end here. I think we can make history. So they're thinking about winning a few more. So
yeah, that's what it seems.
To be fair, though, they won the MLS Cup this year. Do you know where they finished last year?
They were very, very bottom. Were they last in the West?
No.
Second or third from the bottom?
They finished 13th in the West.
Okay.
Last year.
Yeah.
And then won MLS Cup this year. Pretty big turnaround. Do you know who finished 13th this year in the West?
I'm going to take an assumption and say it was us.
It was us.
Well, yeah.
Now, they're LA and they spend ridiculous amounts of money, but we are allegedly about to spend a ridiculous amount of money. We'll see.
Allegedly. Yeah, we'll see.
Some of the stuff that they said has come true, which I guess this is a great transition. The next thing we're going to talk about is roster moves. So, you know, that it's some of the stuff has now begun with all the stuff that they said they were going to do.
Yeah.
So far, it seems to be on track with what they said.
Yeah, it does.
So
it does.
It is. They just did it. 13th to Cup.
Yeah.
So let's follow that. And that does start this offseason with the roster moves. I believe you have them pulled up. If you want to just quickly read over all of them, why not?
Yep. So we'll start with we exercise 7 options. So these players will be back. We've got Afrifa, Agata, Basong, Ndembe, Rodriguez, Ryan Shue, and Robert Volader. So those were the ones that we did exercise the options on. We declined options on the following players. We had Robert Castellanos, Ozzy Cisneros, Danny Flores, and Chris Rindov. So will not be back. In addition, 4 players were out of contract, and we did not make any attempts to re-sign. We had Andreu Fontas, Tim Melia, Johnny Russell, and Remy Voltaire. And then 11 players with guaranteed contracts with Sporting: Jake Davis, Joaquin Fernandez, Tim Leibold, Alan Polito, John Pulskamp, Rado Ya, Danny Flores, Daniel Shallowy, Kyrie Shelton, Eric Tommy, and Alinas Vargas. So we currently have 18 players under contract. Well, now 20 with a couple other changes. Yeah. But yeah, that's where we're at.
Well, let's get the hard part out of the way. What do you say?
Let's do it.
Let's rip this Band-Aid off. As you did hear, 2 of those. Now, again, we should have done an episode 2 weeks ago, but we didn't. So everyone who is potentially listening to this obviously is well aware of what we're about to talk about, but this is our time to finally talk about it. Our beloved captain, JFR, Johnny F. Russell, and my personal favorite sporting player of all time, Tim Melia, will not be returning to the team, and we are sad boys because of that.
Yeah, it is sad.
For a lot of reasons. It is understandable. I do get sort of. I am still puzzled by the Tim Melia one, but
yeah, I can understand why they both happened, but I don't necessarily agree with the decisions, I would say.
Yeah. I guess let's go Johnny first. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean, Johnny is definitely the one that, if I have to say one makes sense, I definitely say this one makes more sense. I mean, it's sad. I mean, Johnny's been one of, he's been there as long as you and I have been supporting the club. He's been, a favorite. He's been a lot of fun. He's a great personality. He's a great motivator on the club. And, he's been our captain for 2 years. So for this, it really sucks. And I think you and I both felt that, his big impact on the field was over. But he definitely had the ability to be an impact in this team. He could still be a locker room presence. He could still come off the bench. He could still contribute to this club in meaningful ways. If I had to take a guess, I would say that Johnny just maybe wasn't interested in that role for this club. That's probably my guess. So it sucks, but at the end of the day, we are demanding, as a fan base, we're demanding better. We're demanding higher results, and that means tough decisions. And you know what? They're doing things. At least they're making big moves. So I mean, I don't know. Those are my thoughts. What do you got?
I agree. I think there's a decent chance that most of this is Johnny didn't want to take that role that we're talking about, even though it was very obvious that was going to be his role. We obviously don't know a lot of behind the scenes things, and we never will. Behind the scenes at this club, as well as other clubs, maybe he has offers from other clubs for a starting role. Maybe he has more money offers to be that bench role at other clubs, be it MLS or back in Scotland or in Slovenia. I don't know, random, insert random league here.
Right.
So maybe it came down to, I can do this here in Kansas City, or I can go make more money, and I don't have that much time left, so I should probably take the money at this point, because it's not like I'm getting another big contract after this.
Right.
Maybe he got offered more to go home and play for his home team again.
Maybe.
There's a lot of stuff that we won't know probably ever. Maybe we hear some of it, but who knows? I agree. I would have liked to have seen him stay as a bench/veteran presence, but maybe that the number he wanted was just too much for us to want to spend, because we want to spend that money on other players, and for that I agree with. Save some money there, because he's going to play 1, maybe 2 more years if we're lucky as a bench role. It's not worth that money unless he's going to take Kyrie Shelton, if not less money.
Well, Kyrie Shelton's massively overpaid.
Maybe not anymore.
That is true. We don't know what 2025 numbers are yet, but
yeah. Well, that and this new position, he just kept improving every game. If he ends up being a really good fit at right back, maybe he's actually worth the money.
Maybe.
So I think jury's still back out on him.
Yeah, potentially.
So I don't know. It's still sad to see Johnny go. He's one of our most prolific captains we've ever had. Absolute fan favorite. The only reason I want him to sign to an MLS team is because I want him to come back to Kansas City at some point.
Yeah.
For one last Johnny F and Russell chant. I don't know if that'll happen. He's the one that's harder for me to see another MLS team picking up.
I agree.
Because that veteran presence is not as impactful as it would be here.
Right.
In San Jose or, it's just not as impactful.
Right.
So
in my mind, I see him. I mean, he's been very clear that he wants to go play for his home club before he retires.
Yeah.
So I would assume that's where he's going. I don't see an MLS club taking him, and I just don't see him going anywhere else. I don't think he's got it. I don't think he's got many options. So I would probably say he's going to head to Scotland, play a couple of years, and probably retire after that.
Yeah,
but
probably.
Yeah.
But we still appreciate everything that he did for us. We did talk last episode or 2 episodes ago about if he's a legend or not.
Yeah.
That was a kind of a heated conversation after his last home game. So
yeah,
not between us, but heated like online and stuff.
Right.
So I guess now we'll see. I still think he's a legend. I think he ends up on the wall.
Yeah. I would say it's pretty likely he ends up on the wall. Yeah.
Yep. So we'll see.
Yep.
All right, we'll move on to the definite guaranteed sporting legend. I think I am a little biased.
Yeah.
He is my favorite sporting player of all time.
Yep.
Mr. Tim Melia. This one surprised me a little bit. It really did.
Yeah.
Now we have never been, nor have we ever pretended to be, the podcast that is really up on the numbers and all that kind of stuff. So it'll be no surprise to anyone. I have no idea how much money he made last year or was supposed to make this year. I don't know. We could look it up, but that has never been a thing that our podcast is focused on. That's not our thing.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe it was a money thing. He was a little more shocking to me because I still think he had very obvious starting value. I think last year he was absolutely our best goalkeeper with the super tiny asterisks of Shui. We didn't really see him. So maybe he's really good and we don't know that yet.
Right.
But I think Pulskamp is pretty clearly not ready. Melia was far and above the reason that we only lost by a few goals in pretty much every game that we lost. Yeah. So that one didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I thought he'd be back for another year for sure. Maybe it was a money thing. I'm not sure. I would be shocked if it was a him thing, if he didn't want to come back.
Right.
But I don't know. What are your thoughts on that one?
I don't know. I can understand if it's if it was a money thing in the well, not a money thing as much as a roster spot thing. That would probably be my guess. I did just look, and it looks like his gross salary for this year or for last year or the 2024 season was $625,000. So definitely
less
not
than Kyrie.
Yeah, it's definitely not high up there. Yeah.
Maybe he's wanting more money. Was he had a contract? I don't remember.
Yeah, all 4 of those guys did not have contracts.
Okay. So yeah, maybe he just wanted more money than we were willing to pay. Maybe we were like, we'll do another year at the same rate, and he's like, no, I'm worth more. Which in my mind he is.
Maybe.
Again, I'm biased, so maybe my level I would put him at is a little higher than other people's. But I still think most people would agree he's probably worth more than $700,000 a season. Yeah. When we're paying Kyrie Shelton $750,000. So
right.
I don't know. That's weird to me. I don't know. Maybe he has other offers. He hasn't signed anywhere yet. So at least to my knowledge, he hasn't signed anywhere yet. So
no, he's not.
I figured if he had other offers that he would have signed already, unless it was a playoff team.
Right.
But I don't know that any of these playoff teams. Just quick, I still have the bracket up, kind of looking, trying to think if any of these teams need a goalkeeper. I don't think most of them really need one.
No, probably not.
I don't know Red Bull's situation in goal.
Yeah, I mean we don't know contracts and such, but I would assume that it's probably your what you were talking about is that he wanted more money than what the club was willing to pay for him. It could be a contract, a roster spot situation. That's maybe they just wanted the roster spot for somebody else. I don't know.
Maybe, but they're gonna sign a goalkeeper now.
Right, you have to have a third goalie. You can't just go with two.
And I think they've even already said they were looking at a goalkeeper spot.
I think so. Yes.
So that, I mean, I get. But to me, it's like, well, why sign a new? We already have a young kid that's learning. We have another young kid that we don't know anything about.
Right.
Unless they're just not happy with either of those, or maybe they already have made headway towards a goalkeeper that's going to come in and replace Melia.
Yeah.
Obviously, we just don't know about yet. Maybe that's part of it. Or they were able to say bye to him. But,
yeah, or they just really like Shui. But I would have to assume we would have seen him this year if they really liked him.
I would think so.
So I don't know. It is a strange situation. Now there is. I know that looking at it from face value, it doesn't make a ton of sense, but there is still the point of that he is old. And they might have just been betting on the fact that he just wasn't, that he was going to start falling off. That might have been the other side of it as well.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I don't know.
I'm trying to look up because Shui played for SKC2, I assume, right?
I believe that's what yeah, I think so.
I'm trying to see if we have. Let me see if MLS Next Pro has it. Yeah, they do. Ortiz, Danny Flores, Pulse Camp, Shui. There we go.
Yeah, it looks like he made
14 games. Yeah, 14 games played. I don't. Didn't score any goals, obviously. Oh, here we go. I can just go to goalkeeping. That's easy.
There you go. Yeah, he had 2 clean sheets. He allowed 25 goals against. First 46 saves.
That's not great.
No. He was
25 goals against in 14 games. That's not good.
No. I mean, now granted, we don't know what I don't know how good the club was, to be honest.
Yeah, that's fair.
But anyway, yeah, I have no idea. I mean, Tim seems like a weird one. I agree that is the strangest. All the other players that we chose not to keep make sense.
Yeah.
But that's probably the only one that I am confused by. But.
Yeah, well, he'll be back when we give him a jacket and put his name on the wall. So
probably.
Yep. That'll be a good one. Hopefully he doesn't go play for an MLS squad somewhere. But
right, that would be unfortunate.
I think he probably is young enough he gets signed by somebody. So
right,
maybe I'll get lucky and Colorado Springs Switchbacks will sign him and he'll come live here and I can go watch him all the time.
Maybe
current champion.
Yeah.
Colorado Springs Switchbacks, USL Championship. They won a couple weeks ago. How about that?
You know? Yeah, that's good. That's very exciting.
Yeah.
But I guess speaking of goalkeeper spot that needs to be signed, a few days later, we did actually announce 2 homegrown signings. One of which was a goalkeeper. So Jack Courtcamp and Ian James, who's a center back. Both signed to the senior club, and both of them sitting in the top 5 of our youngest signings in club history. So, yeah, I mean, both spots that we seemingly have needs at. I would be pretty surprised if Courtcamp is the answer. Maybe he is. Maybe they really, really like him. I mean, just to bring him up at 16, you got to really like him. And then Ian James, we need some more center backs. Having some more options there would be good because right now we're sitting at Volanair, Joaquin Fernandez, and Rosero. Those are our center backs.
Yeah, I think
so.
that'll be one of our signings. I would bet.
Yeah, I would think so.
Court Camp did make 4 appearances for SKC2 last year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he gave up 10 goals.
Woof.
And had 1 clean sheet. So he gave up 10 goals in 3 games.
Nice.
So
that's not good.
No, that is not. But like you said, he's 16, so
right.
Who knows?
Okay. What you got next?
Homegrown signings we just did. Our protected players from the draft that happened last night, right? It was last night.
Yeah.
San Diego, of course, being the new squad.
Mm-hmm.
We chose not to protect some pretty surprising names.
Yeah. So for anybody who's not familiar with the expansion draft, I do want to just explain. Every team gets 12 players that they get to protect from the expansion draft. And you pick the 12 players. Any homegrowns you have that are under the age of 20 something, I can't remember what age it is. But any homegrowns you have under a certain age are automatically protected. But yeah, that left us with a handful of very interesting eligible draftable players. But I think the biggest two being Daniel Shallowy and then Alan Polito getting left off the list. What do you make of that?
Yep. Not really surprised. I think we were kind of looking at a hope that somebody would take Polito off our hands.
Right.
While also knowing that nobody was going to take Shallowy because he's old and hasn't done much in the last few years.
Right.
Same with Radoya and Shelton. Those were the other 2 that they could have taken.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Forgive me, I didn't hear if you said none of our players ended up getting taken. So
that is correct.
we did come out unscathed. I am a little stunned. I would have thought they would have taken Polito.
Yeah. Same.
Even though it's not, he didn't have a good season last year. He had a great season the year before, and that's the kind of player that you kind of want to help start your
right,
because there's not much risk if he ends up sucking. It's like, man, it's expansion draft anyway. But if you get the good version, so I'm pretty stunned that he didn't get snagged from us. Also, Radia, frankly, just from the sheer perspective of that's just our luck.
Yeah,
of course we would not sign Remy, and then Radia would get snagged in the expansion draft. Like, of course that would happen.
I do have one comment to make on that, just real quick, but I agree with 100%. Like, that would have been one of those rare win-win situations where we don't really want him anymore. We could have gotten him off of our club, but he really would have been good for San Diego. Like you said, he's one of those kind of really good establishing players that if you get a good version of him, yeah, he's going to be great for you guys. But that would be our luck that he'd then go out and score, 20 goals next year and take them to the MLS Cup, and you know how it is. The one thing I saw, I didn't realize this, but do you know who is a free agent this year?
I do not.
Antoine
Griezmann?
Well, probably. Elia Sanchez.
Really?
Yeah.
Bring him back.
How fun would that be?
That would be good.
It is. We don't exactly need that role filled is the only problem.
Yeah.
But it'd still be fun to get him back. So we'll see. But
the list I was gonna be way more expensive now.
Right. The list I was looking at had him as the number 2 free agent in this season, off season. So
wow, from that position or total?
Total.
Wow. Yeah, we're not seeing him.
No. There was,
to be fair, I mean, that fans would freak out if that happened. They would be excited, but at the same time, like our whole thing was to do a complete roster overhaul and re-sign a bunch of new players, not a bunch of old players that we used to have.
Right.
Like at a position that we don't necessarily need to sign anybody at. So that would, I don't know. I don't know if I would, once the coolness of having Elie back, once that wore off, I don't know if I would agree with that choice.
Yeah.
Depending on the contract, obviously. But
I'm trying to remember the name because I don't know. Hang on just a second. The number 1 that was on this list was Jack Elliott. Who's a center back for Philadelphia.
Yeah, give me him.
Yeah, because his salary last year was $893K.
Yeah.
He's 29 years old.
Okay.
He'd be amazing.
Yeah, pay him any amount of money that he wants.
Right. So that would be a fantastic signing. And then we've got João Paulo. He's 33 and he's pretty injury prone. Albert Rusnak, his midfielder, he's 30. His Sounders player, he could be. And then Jeremy Abobasi is a free agent as well. So, there's some decent names out there. We will get none of them.
No.
But there's some decent names out there.
I bet whether we hear about it or not, I bet we make a call on Jake Elliott because we really need a center back.
Yeah.
I think we would be a dog water organization if we didn't at least call.
Right.
Hell, even the Royals called on Juan Soto.
Yeah, right.
It was never going to happen, but they at least called, know.
Yeah.
He's not going to go for that much. Maybe he will. I don't know. I guess we'll see. But
yeah. It's
a
free signing, so we wouldn't have to pay any transfer fees or anything. So
right. It's just the salary, which you got to assume is going to be a couple of million, probably.
At his age,
I didn't realize he was a free agent. Now I'm thinking about that. That'd be great.
Yeah, it would be a great signing.
Good signing,
but we need a 10. That's
true. Yeah.
Brian Burns. That's the wrong guy. Mike Burns. He's been very, very, very clear that number 10 is the highest priority.
Oh, I remembered one thing that I definitely wanted to mention now that you said Mike Burns.
Good.
He was quoted. He had a lot of quotes. I had them written down somewhere, and I don't even know where I wrote them down at. But one of the quotes that he said, I'm going to paraphrase it because I don't know the exact quote, but he basically said that there were 11 players that were still under contract. 11, I think, something like that had contract guarantees or something like that.
Yeah.
And he was like bummed that there were that many players that had guaranteed contracts already. Like he wanted to do a lot more roster movement, but he just simply couldn't, which heavily implies, if not outright says, there are more people on this team that he does not want on this team, but they are under guaranteed contracts and he can't do anything about it.
So, we look at the 11. There's Davis, can't be talking about him. Fernandez, no way.
Yeah.
Tim Leibold, probably talking about him.
Could be. Yeah.
Alan Polito, probably talking about him.
Probably, yeah.
John Polskamp, maybe. Rado Ya, we didn't protect him, maybe. Danny Rosero, I'd be surprised. Maybe
I don't think Rosero's one of them.
Daniel Shallowy, for sure.
Absolutely one of them, yeah.
Yeah. Kyrie Shelton, yeah. Who knows?
I think the fact that we didn't protect him in the draft tells me that he's probably one of them.
Yeah, probably. And then Eric Tommy, no way, and Alinas Vargas, too young to tell.
Yeah, no. So I probably Leibold, Shelton, and Shallowy are the main ones and Polito.
And Polito, yeah.
Are the main ones. And I think of those four, the one that I least think he's talking about is Polito, surprisingly enough. Just because I think Polito's upside is so much higher than everybody else's.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's like, if we get good Polito this year, like good Polito is elite for sure.
Yeah. That's the problem.
I think the upside there is worth keeping him if we're going to just have to pay it anyway,
Yep, for sure.
But all right. Well, is that all you have on protected players? Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. Well, let's move into our CONCACAF draw.
Yeah.
And of course, we got Miami.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we?
Yeah. I don't know.
So Messi will be coming back to Kansas City. I'm sure he'll have a nice, comfy view from his heated seat on the bench that he'll be sitting in.
Probably.
We're in agreement, right? There's 0% chance that he plays in Kansas City in February in the first round of a tournament.
I believe it was very unlikely that he would do so.
He is. There's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way he's playing.
Yeah.
and I think that's a big tickets are on sale already or getting ready to go. I don't know. I just saw it earlier, but they're
they don't hit till January.
Yeah, they're already not as expensive as they were when he was here for Arrowhead. But I think a lot of people are thinking the same thing. Like, it's February in Kansas City. He's not playing in that game.
Right. He's not coming.
And it's a multi-leg thing anyway, right?
Yeah, it's a home and away.
And aren't we first?
I believe it's home first. Yes.
Yeah, there is no chance he's playing in that game.
Yeah,
it's not a must-win. It's going to be 15 degrees.
Yeah.
On the warm side, it's going to be 15 degrees. He is not playing. He probably won't even come.
No, it's unlikely. Yeah, he'll stay at home.
Yeah. Wild.
Mm-hmm.
But that's who we get. So
yeah.
Who was it in the next round? Do you remember if we win?
No, I don't. So you can Google it faster.
I remember looking at it going, oh, if we can just get to the next round.
I
think, but I could be wrong. I'm usually wrong.
I don't recognize that logo. It looks like a Jamaican team.
Jamaican team. That's right.
Yeah. Or no. Yeah, that's the Jamaican flag. Yeah, it's a Jamaican team.
Where did you find the bracket at?
I just Googled it. I don't know. I'm on Twitter right now.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, that's what I Googled, but it didn't pop up.
You just got to be better at Googling, Steve.
Oh, there it is. I got it. I didn't scroll down far enough. I just clicked on the first link.
I see. Yeah, some Jamaican team. And then after that, if we make it to the quarters, we would get an MLS team. Because it would either be Columbus, LAFC, or Colorado. So
Cavalier is the name of the team that we get in the round of 16 if we beat Miami.
There you go.
Cavalier. Where are they from?
Jamaica.
Yeah. They were 6th in the Jamaica Premier League.
Yeah, I have no idea how that translates.
Yeah, I don't either. But yeah, you're right. It'd be LAFC, Colorado, or Columbus.
Yeah.
Probably LAFC would be my guess.
Yeah. I mean, Columbus maybe. But
yeah. Or Colorado. Honestly, I won't be surprised if it's any of those three.
Yeah. I mean, again, we're talking about mid-season tournaments. They're always whack.
Yeah.
You never know. Although this first round will be before anybody's played, I think. So.
Yeah. But, all right. Well, we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll go crazy and win the whole thing.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. That'd be a new section on our wall we'd have to add.
Yeah, no kidding.
So.
Yeah.
All right. We got one more thing that we need to talk about.
Okay.
And it's the two things I don't want to talk about. I don't know why I saved these for last, but it's the order I typed them. So,
sure.
We've had at least 2 awards, maybe more. I don't know. Only 2 that I really cared to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Awards awarded since our last episode, being Executive of the Year, which went to our very own Jake Reed.
Yeah, for his significant accomplishments on the club.
Yeah.
Doing what?
Yeah. We'll get to that one here in a second.
Okay.
I want to talk about the other one first because we were just talking about Miami. So Messi gets league MVP.
Right.
Which is insane. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
I know you and I were texting about it. It's very obvious why he got MVP. It's because of his name. That's why he got it. It's because of who he is.
So
I get it. But
yeah.
I personally don't even think he was the MVP on his own team, let alone of the whole league.
I agree with you. But here is the only thing that I would say. He did lead MLS with 36 total goal contributions. That is the 5th highest in MLS history. And he only played in 19 games. So I kind of understand. That being said, I agree with you. Like, if you couldn't play more than half your matches, well, it's slightly more than half, but if you couldn't play more games, you shouldn't be winning the MVP.
Yeah.
you did not contribute enough to your club.
Yeah, Joel Embiid. For any of our NBA fans,
right?
Direct comparison. He doesn't play in enough games. That's why he can't win MVP.
Right. So I don't know. I don't like it. You're 100% right. He got it because of his name. There are some arguments that because of, he led the league with goal contributions despite only playing 19. I can understand that, but at the end of the day, no.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
He with Messi, Miami's record this year was 12 wins, 6 draws, 1 loss.
Right.
Without Messi, Miami was 10 wins, 2 draws, 3 losses, which is basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, okay. I don't. It just doesn't. I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me. Like, it just even take his own team, take him out of his own team, and they're still a winning team.
Right.
They're still probably top of the league. So,
yeah.
I don't know. Now, to be fair, in the games that he played, they scored 51 goals. In games that he didn't, they scored 28.
Right.
And now that is, let's see, 15, 13, 6, 19, 4. It's only 4 less games. So obviously, yeah, big, goal thing. I got in a conversation with somebody on Facebook, I think, a random dude. It was on like MLS's comments section.
Sure.
He told me that I was completely ignoring things like man of the matches and dribbles complete. I'm not kidding. That is legitimately what he said. And I said, that's my bad. I didn't include how many man of the matches Messi won and how his dribbles complete percentage was. Let me go back and factor that. Oh, sure shit. MVP. There it is. Now it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Yeah,
man of the match. What?
I don't know. That's pretty dumb.
Yeah, he's man of the match because the cheapest ticket was $400 to get in the door to see him. That's why he's man of the match.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, like, what are we talking about here?
I have no idea.
I don't know. Anyway, Messi wins MVP, and everyone is super shocked.
Right.
Now to our award that goes to someone from our club, Jake Reed winning Exec of the Year.
Yeah.
That didn't make any sense to me until today.
Okay. I'd love to hear your explanation.
I read some stories today that kind of had it make a little bit more sense.
Okay.
So you're right. We're 13th. We're in a miserable state right now. We've had back-to-back relatively disappointing seasons, albeit the end of 2 seasons ago ended, pretty good.
Yeah.
Jake Reed is a prominent. I am not Team Vermes out, so I would say Jake Reed is probably the prominent reason that we're not being successful right now.
That's fair.
However, what I read today said that one of the biggest deciding factors in the reason that he won Executive of the Year was due to his incredibly large role in getting the World Cup to Kansas City and to the United States in general. Apparently, he was one of the main execs that was doing the push to get us the bid for the World Cup, period, and then also getting it in Kansas City.
Interesting.
So I was like, okay, so what you're saying is it's executive stuff that's outside of our club.
Right.
Which I guess take it or leave it as far as if that should apply to MLS Executive of the Year, but it is part of his job. It's part of his duties.
Yeah, that's fair.
Apparently this award was given to him primarily because of his impact in getting us the World Cup and getting Kansas City the World Cup, to which I will concede, if that is the case, then it is well-deserved.
Yeah, I can accept that. I do not agree that should be a consideration, considering we're talking about the MLS Executive of the Year.
Yeah.
But I can a little better understand that.
I get the only argument I can see is like, well, if you can't give him the award here, what award can he win? Because like he's an MLS executive.
Sure.
So that's where I'm just kind of like, okay, I get it. That does make sense, I guess.
Yeah.
This will get him more than likely on I don't know how that'll work. I was gonna say I would guess probably get him on stage to hand out medals at the World Cup. One of the 9 people that are on stage.
Maybe he might be up there because he is. I'm just looking. He is the vice president of the KC 2026 board of directors.
Okay.
So But that is specifically to Kansas City.
Yeah.
So I don't know. He might be up there. Yeah.
Who knows? But that is what I read this morning, believe it or not,
Okay.
about why he was in such high consideration.
Right.
And when I factored that in, I'm like, okay, I guess that makes a little, because originally when I saw it, I was like, what? I think I even texted you about another Royals thing, because JJ Piccolo didn't win Executive of the Year. And I'm like, we had like a 70-game turnaround. How does he not win Executive of the Year?
Right.
But the Brewers executive wins it because they won one more game than they did last year and still got first rounded.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make any sense. But I mean, I'll take it. It's prestige towards sporting, whether it's earned or not. It's still prestige towards our club. So
yeah, that's fair.
Take it, I guess. But
yeah.
So congrats, I guess, to Jake.
Yeah, I guess he can have it.
Somebody please buy the club, though. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Yeah. All right. Well, you got anything else on that?
No.
All right. Well, you got anything else at all?
I don't think so. We touched on the points I want to talk about.
I think we did too. Now, did we forget something? Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
Will we remember as soon as we hang up? Yeah, definitely.
For sure. Yeah.
But for now, that's all I got. I don't have anything else. So
that's all I got.
You guys, this was a fun season 2 of Paint the Wall podcast.
Yes.
We appreciate all you all listening. We averaged about 30 listeners per episode this week, as compared to, I think it was 18 our first season. So I think our realistic goal should be 52. That's what we should hope for season 3.
Okay.
We have some potential ideas and stuff for season 3. We'll try to do things to make it a little better. As always, our streaming stuff is listed below. We are still streaming on Fired Up Network. I assume we will also be doing that next year too.
Yep.
Though I haven't talked to them yet to see if we will still be streaming there, but I assume unless we get picked up by somebody else, then we will probably be streaming over there.
Sure.
Which you can always get the Fired Up Network on True TV app, which you can get on Amazon App Store, Roku, and Apple TV. Thursday nights, not this Thursday. We're recording on Thursday, so this will be up tomorrow morning. And then YouTube, Twitter, all those good things still in the thing. If you're not watching this, go over to YouTube and give us a like and a sub. That would be just super cool of you.
It would be amazing.
You got anything else?
Nothing else.
All right, Logan, I appreciate you as always.
I appreciate you, Steve.
You all have a fantastic off season. We'll see you in February.
We'll see everybody.